So our first disclaimer, this is your Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation. We're going to talk about Lions Club fundraising in the new normal, and we have to adapt, improvise, and overcome. And part of that is working with what we've got. And so to start this morning, we want to show you a fun video that's produced by Lions Clubs International. And if I can make this work again.
Oh. There you go.
That's about it. All right. Watch this and enjoy it. It's just about 1 minute and 3/4, and some of you may have seen it before, but it's a lot of fun.
You enjoying your first pancake breakfast?
Oh, it's delicious. Thanks, Lion Carissa. Hey, guys, listen, I know I'm a new member, but I had an idea.
Okay. Do tell.
What if we also served waffles?
Lions eat pancakes. Always have, always will.
Do you want to lose your pen?
No, pancakes are the champion of the breakfast table. They're the only food worthy of the king of the jungle. Well, it might be nice to have a little variety, right? I mean, hey, look, we have syrup, we have butter in the back, and I actually carry a waffle iron in my hatchback.
You remind me of this guy who tried to bring French toast to the group. French toast Dennis.
Yeah, we don't talk about FTD anymore.
R.I.P. FTD. Oh, yeah, he didn't die. But he's dead to us.
Hashtag
Lions pride.
Look, I know that being a lion is all about following tradition, but I'm just saying, what if we made our own traditions, you know, shook things up a little bit? Like, what if we served crepes?
No.
Or quiche? What if we had dinner for breakfast? It's very clear. Pancakes in the morning, spaghetti at night, everything in Lions Club will be all right. It's there in the bylaws.
No,
it isn't.
It should be.
Sorry for going against the group here.
Yes.
No big deal.
I brought a salad for myself. I hope that's okay. Absolutely. It's not Rabbit's Club. Eat your pancakes.
Do you want some syrup?
No, thank you.
Do you want syrup?
Yes, I would love some syrup. Thank you.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I do. Like I said, some of you may have seen it before, and it cracks me up every time I see that, because it reminds me of maybe my Lions Club, maybe other Lions Clubs, maybe other organizations. These guys have been doing their fundraising like that the way we all have for a long time. It's always been a lot of work. It's been a lot of planning, networking, publicizing, and doing the work to raise those funds that allow us to provide service in our communities. Because of COVID-19, though, we got to pivot, we've got to adjust, we've got to adapt and overcome, because we can't quite do those big crowd fundraisers anymore. We have to have safe distances. And so for the next little while, we're going to talk about how to do that fundraising in the new normal. So Nicole, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. The first point we'd like to make on our theme of fundraising in the new normal is to recognize the importance of Lions fundraising throughout the state, throughout the country, and the world, because Lions are everywhere and do a very significant amount of fundraising individually and collectively. So whether they're fundraising for the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation or for other charitable causes in their communities, it takes a big effort. So right now, very briefly, I just want to share an overview of the history of fundraising to the foundation from Lions Clubs of Oregon. So currently, Lions Club contributions make up about 7% of the foundation's overall operating budget, which is about $2 million. So this 7%, while it may sound small, it's not really. It's a steady and reliable source of support every year. That's 7% less that I and others here, Brad, Doug, all of us have to raise. So just keep that in mind. That number is not insignificant. So there used to be, as you all know, well over 200 Lions Clubs and twice as many individual Lions in the state of Oregon and Northern California, which is the multiple district 36. So there's less Lions now. So back then, in I would say the 70s and 80s, from what folks have told me that have been active for that long, they have shared that at Lions conventions, you would typically have a parade of checks where half, I would say like $200,000 or $250,000 would be raised at one particular district convention or state convention. So that could have been enough to cover our annual budget back in the 70s. So that's a significantly large amount of fundraising, and I should say the majority of the fundraising for the foundation. So clearly there's two factors that have changed this over the last 3-4 decades. The OLSHF, or the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation budget, has grown significantly. Like I said, it was $2 million right now, approximately. That is also because of expanding programs, adding the lab, adding the ROAR program, adding all kinds of wonderful programs to serve people in need with sight and hearing. We've also then, when you have Lions clubs, less Lions clubs or less contributions, then of course the proportion goes down in how much that percentage is of giving to the operating budget. So there's fewer Lions, there's fewer fundraisers. That makes that 7% to me and to everyone here more important, because it shows that you're still out there raising money in all these traditional ways and now non-traditional ways. And so what I would also say, my other takeaway is, on a positive note, even though there's maybe less Lions and less clubs since the 70s, the clubs that are in multiple District 36, more and more each year are donating. Whether it's 100, whether it's 5,000, we're getting a nice range of gifts every year, and we're getting more clubs donating. To me, that $100 means a lot, because I know that your club is maybe limited in how much you can fundraise or how many members you have, and you're deciding to give $100 to the foundation to support our programs. It's fantastic. So I think that we should remember that and feel good about how many Lions clubs are participating. And then the last takeaway on this section is that these donations, 100% of these donations go directly to the programs. So they go to the ROAR program, they go to the LEAP eyeglass program, they go to patient care, they put glasses on people's eyes, they get screenings done in communities, in schools, they help with hearing exams, eye exams, surgeries all over the state. That money is going to people in need directly. Take it away, Brad.
Okay, so like I said earlier, for decades and decades, we've done these large fundraisers, some in partnership with your Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, some to do the work that we do in our communities. Nicole and I are Lions. We know how hard it is, how much work it is to put together a fundraiser. And some of these traditional events were based with large audience pre-COVID-19. In the next section, we'll talk about how some sponsored events are key to success with consistent networking to get the prizes and subsidized costs. But things like, for instance, Cedarhill Sunset Lions top golf fundraiser last year, the Mid-Columbia Lions Follies that have been going on for years and years and have raised a huge amount of money. The Westland Riverview Lions Bowl-a-thon that's been going on. Sees candy sales like the Roseburg Lions have done, and other Lions clubs. Crab feeds like Yahats and Central Lions have done big sit-down crowd events. Pancake feeds like East Albany's 4th of July, Lake Oswego's 4th of July, Mount Hood's Chuck Wagon, and golf tournaments. Yeah, golf tournaments everywhere. If you're a Lion, you can play golf every weekend during the summer, such as Gresham Breakfast in Springfield, Sandy, Milwaukee, even the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation golf tournament. We're going to have to find a way to do fundraising in a different fashion. We're going to have to figure out how to plan those differently, to be creative, to network appropriately, and to publicize those and pull them off in the new normal. So Nick, let's talk about what's going on now.
Okay, what now? Thanks, Brad. So what now? We can't have crowds, at least under 50, over 100, all these things that are being discussed and decided. We can't have contact. There are challenges and lots of unknown factors. So while this may seem a little distressing, in all of our planning and all of our discussions and everything that Brad and I have been talking about and all the events that we had to cancel and go virtual this spring, there's 3 words that we want to leave you with that I think have been comforting to me as I struggle with this every day, how to fundraise when I can't actually be in the same room with somebody. Plan, network, and promote. 3 words: plan, network, and promote. We're going to discuss them briefly, and then you'll have some time to talk to us about questions or follow up with me after. So before I get into the plan, network, and promote, there is kind of a 4th word, and the 4th word is collection, collection of money. And we're going to talk about that briefly later. How do you collect your funds in a legal manner? So the first example of planning, we want to use a local event that has been very successful for years. And Brad is actually the founder or co-founder of this idea. So I'm going to have him briefly describe the plan aspect of fundraising.
Okay, so you probably know I'm a member of the Tualatin Lions Club, and our big annual fundraiser that's been going on, this would be our 5th year, but things are going to be a little different, is our Oktoberfest. We were kind of struggling. We collected paper for years and years and years, and the bottom fell out of that, and we lost our paper collection, so we needed to figure out a new way to raise funds to do the things we need to do in our community and to support our foundation. So we were standing around the bed of a pickup truck full of leaves that we picked up from somebody's yard one afternoon, and we started talking about maybe doing an Oktoberfest. And that took a lot of planning. It was a good idea. We went through where to have it, how to have it. It took a year to plan. We actually found a sponsor, which I got to tell you is, you got to do it. You got to have a sponsor for your events. It takes money to make money, right? But it doesn't need to take your Lions Club money. Let's find a sponsor. Find that car dealership. Find that bank. Find that. We hooked up with a developer in Tualatin who buys the groceries for us every year. We hooked up with Dutch Brothers. For every event we have, we use Dutch Brothers coffee, and we don't pay for it. It's great. But it took a year to plan that first one. And that planning has continued through each one. We've networked to find our sponsors, and we have promoted it through every opportunity we have. And Nick will talk some more about this. We've used every opportunity to promote, and I'll get to talk about also. But that's what we have to do, and now we have to adapt that. And our Lions Club Oktoberfest is going to become a drive-through Oktoberfest. We don't anticipate we'll make as much money because we'll have to spend more money. All that takeout stuff, sacks and takeout boxes and things. And promotion is going to be a huge part of that, as will our networking. So I'm going to turn it back over to Nick now for an example of her Lions Club and a virtual fundraising project that they're engaging in right now.
Okay, so my club, the Portland Legacy Lions, we have been brainstorming and decided a lot of our members are pet owners, and we wanted to somehow, and this was before COVID, we had started this idea and we had to rapidly adapt it. So we decided to go with a pet theme, and we started to get flyers out for a pet contest. And so it's a modest entry fee. We hustled around for prizes, and that's part of what the planning and network is about, is that, you know, who do you know in your community? Kareth, one of our members, had vets to go talk to get potential prizes or be judges. Melinda and Tracy have friends that are pet store owners or know people at pet stores. We got some gifts there. Caitlin and I went knocking on doors in the neighborhood before COVID, and we were able, or by email, we were able to get some prizes. Some of that you can, of course, do virtually through phone and email, but of course, it was really nice to go talk to people one-on-one and say, hey, would you donate a $10 gift certificate from your pet store for our project? The other piece that makes this fundraiser perhaps a good idea for your club is that, one, you could do it all virtually. You know, you're promoting it all on Instagram and Facebook. You could email out the PDF flyers. There's lots of simple programs you can use to make flyers. There's one called Canva, and I know Caitlin has one that she uses and says it's really great. So it doesn't take a lot of time to put together a flyer and say, okay, here's your entry fee, send in your pet photos, here are the prizes, things like that. So you're going to be looking at a lot of, as Brad said, alternative ways and adjustments. You're going to have to pivot your event, whether it's a drive-through, pick up your sauerkraut and sausage and your Oktoberfest, yeah. Or, you know, what we're doing, send in pet photos. You can think of other, you know, kinds of combinations there. Another idea that is simply pretty easy to pivot to virtual are raffles. And I know that Lions, I'm sure you're all nodding your head going, yes, we do raffles, easy. How are you going to sell tickets if you can't go door to door? I mean, essentially, you can probably try some of that with social distancing. But raffles can be really, really wonderful to just pivot online. You could generate prizes in the same way through relationships and sponsors. You know, you'll get used to no's. I won't lie to you. You're going to get some no's from people when you say, hey, would you like to donate X gift certificate or X prize? But you're going to get a lot of yeses. And especially what Brad was saying, in your community, who do you know? Bankers, car dealerships, restaurants, your favorite boutique. You know, I know a jewelry store I love and they've donated a $20 gift certificate. You just have to, you know, be outgoing, be friendly, and share your mission. Get folks excited about your mission. Talk to them. You're not really asking them for money. So if you feel nervous about that, try talking about your mission and impact, who you're helping in the community and to what end and how you're helping people. And then the conversation can kind of flow from there. So don't feel, I know it's nerve-wracking to be like, I need you to donate, but try to do it from the aspect of what moves you. What motivates you to be a Lion? What motivates you to donate to the foundation? Because you care about helping people see, helping people access hearing aids, screenings, whatever it is. Try to talk about that. Get your prizes that way. So back to the raffle. So you're going to have to think about selling these tickets online. You're going to have to think about a platform for that. Should it be through PayPal? For our club, we have an awesome tech member, Nathan, and he does so much on our website. And I think Kareth built the PayPal with him too, the link. It's pretty easy to set up with your treasurer's bank account information. You'll have like a one-click donation. You can have that on your website. You can do that on Facebook. You've got all kinds of options, but you just need to make sure that you have a place where everyone can easily donate to or submit their entry fee, and where it's attached to your proper bank account, and that's your treasurer is going to be able to record all this. So think about those questions. It definitely takes some extra planning, but you'll see it's worth it, because we all know that social media is clearly the option we have now. So the other part of 50/50 raffles or other raffles is you have to think about your raffle handle. So your raffle handle is essentially your gross sales generated by each event, by each raffle. So how much do you make gross before your expenses? So if your raffle handle per raffle, if you think it's going to be over 10K or under 10K, excuse me, you're going to need to apply for a Class B license with the Department of Justice. Some of you have probably done that. I'm happy to walk you through the application process. There's also a Class A license if you're really going to hit the big bucks, which is what we do for our raffle and gala. But you don't have to worry about that yet. Just start exploring how much you think you're going to bring in from your raffle. And again, those are questions you can ask me offline. So I think in the interest of time, let's move on to the first 3 slides we have prepared, which is Facebook fundraisers. Here's another way to go virtual. So I think Brenda's got 3 slides ready to share. One really easy way, which I think many of you have done this, is to go onto Facebook and create a fundraiser for a particular organization. In this case, we'd love it. We'd love that you choose the foundation. So it might be a little tough to see close up. We put some arrows and highlights to walk you through the steps. And there's 3 easy steps. So if you can see there, I probably shouldn't go into too many of the details, but there's just buttons where you can hit events and fundraisers, and then you can choose, and the next slide I think has the next step. Perfect, yeah, and you can see the highlight where it says fundraiser and our organization, and it walks you through the basics. And you pick the organization you would like to benefit, you pick the mission, you can put in the amount, all those things. Now, if you choose this option, what is most convenient about this is you don't have to worry about 50C3 information. You don't have to worry about tax deductible receipts. You don't have to worry about anything. This is a strict direct donation to the foundation. Our accounting team takes care of everything. And should you choose to let us know who these folks are, we'll send them letters, or they can choose to be anonymous or share their information with us. All that gets taken care of. So the first step, as I said, is to kind of go through with the basics. And you can see there's 3 dots on the bottom. It walks you through those steps. And you just fill in the mission, why you're choosing to fundraise for this organization. And then it allows you to share the page, and you can share that, you know, on all platforms, really easy. The other thing, there you go, tell your story. Why are you doing this? What motivates you? Pick a photo, and then boom, share widely. Again, this is something I can walk you through separately offline. I have helped a fair amount of Lions with this. A lot of them have done this themselves. I want to applaud everyone that takes the initiative and does this. I think this is a really smart, convenient, and easy way to fundraise. You just have to share it. You just have to get on there, play around, and share with everyone you know. Have your kids, your grandkids, your friends share this. The other part of Facebook that I will just briefly share is the personal fundraising. I don't have any slides on that, but I can walk you all through it offline. So there's been several Lions. There's too many to name. I don't want to leave anyone out, but they will just, on their own initiative, on their own personal page, set up a birthday fundraiser. This does not necessarily link with our page. It links with our Facebook page, but it doesn't go in the same process. And those donations can be directed towards us, but it's on your personal Facebook page. So those are 2 options there you can use on Facebook. And again, simple, cost-effective, easy to plan and promote. The other option, which is not on Facebook, which is on another platform called GoFundMe. That is another platform we've seen some Lions use and some other folks. There are two aspects of GoFundMe, and I would caution you to either talk to me first or talk to someone you know that has used this. There's a GoFundMe platform that is a personal, which means it's not affiliated with a charity, and it's not a 501c3 vetted charity, so you're just getting the donations into your personal account, which means you can't give someone a tax-deductible gift certificate. And if you want to do that, that's totally fine. You just need to, you know, be very mindful of how you collect your dollars and how you thank people. However, you can go through a GoFundMe charity platform, and there you can choose the Oregon Lion Sight and Hearing Foundation, and then that triggers the 501c3 deduction receipt. So we don't have any examples of that. That's less common than Facebook, but I'm happy to answer questions about that. So I think we'll jump to the next topic, which is the second phase: plan, network, and then promote. Actually, a third phase. So let's go to promote, Brad. Thanks.
Okay, so some of you may remember me when I was district governor and when I was council chair, and I talked about promoting your events and how the importance of public relations, getting out on media. And that's what's going to really drive your event in your communities now. And there are such a broad way to do that anymore. What you need to do, first and foremost, because people are people, get to know your local media, your local media. Get your publicity that way, because still, no matter what, people hear stuff on the radio more than they see on TV, more than they see on their computers. Get in touch with your local radio station. See if you can get a little bit of time for them to publicize your event. If you have local access TV, that's amazing too. Get with your local community newspapers. In Tualatin, we're very, very fortunate. We have a monthly local newspaper, Tualatin Life, that publishes everything we give them. Pamplin Media is all over the metro area. They're really good about publishing your press releases too. And I'll talk about your press releases here in just a couple of minutes. But really get to know your local media, because that is a huge boon to you in publicizing your events. Now, let's talk about your social media, your personal social media and your club social media. Brenda, if you go to that next slide about Instagram. Now, I was very happy to recently find that more and more clubs have Facebook pages. That's a wonderful place to publicize your events, to publicize your virtual or your non-virtual events, because people see it. Another way to do it is through Instagram. what you see there is my club's Instagram account, the most recent photographs of it. And that gives you tremendous reach. I was surprised. My little Tualatin Lions Club has 149 followers the last time I looked, and it gives us international reach. We communicate with clubs in Mexico, in the Philippines, in Europe, in the Middle East. It's pretty cool. There's also Twitter, and there's TikTok, and there's a new platform for social media coming out almost every week. It's hard to stay ahead of that stuff, but make it work for you. It really does work well. I think there's another slide there, Brenda. I can't remember what's next up. If you would hit that, that'd be great. Yeah, the public relations manual. Perfect. That's what we're going to get into next. Get that public relations manual from the MD36 website. There are some special Lions here in our multiple district, mom and daughter, Carol and Carrie, who put together a PR manual a couple of years ago, and it is phenomenal. Back in my last life, I used to be the public relations officer for the Tualatin Police Department, and I wish I would have had a manual this good to help me do what I did. It was kind of scary back then, but this manual is great. If you go to the next slide on that, you go to the MD36 website and click, and you can download this manual, the MD36 Public Relations Manual. It shows you how to formulate a press release, a media release. It shows you how to go through the steps to do that. It gives you media contacts all over the multiple district. It's amazing. So now, once you've done that, you've written a press release for your event. What do? How do you get that to the media? Here's what you do. You get a hold of Nick, oops, other direction. You get a hold of Nicole and send it to her, and she will put that out for you on a platform that we subscribe to here at your foundation called Flash Alert Newswire. It's a statewide media release distribution method, and it can get to every media outlet there is in your community, in your broader region, or throughout the state of Oregon. It's amazing. My little club sends everything out through Flash Alert. It's great. It gets people's attention. They see it, and they'll come and donate to your event, buy whatever it is you're selling, and make your club more able to do what they do in their communities. Okay, so now we're going to talk about collecting those donations, and we're going to talk about the ways to do it legally. And so, Nick, I'm going to turn that over to you.
Thanks, Brad. So before I jump into that, I just want to highlight the Flash Alert Newswire again, because it's statewide. The foundation pays a very, very small fee to use the. Again, Tualatin Lions seems to be the most I post. Of course, we use it for foundation news releases. However, I would urge everybody to think about using this, really exploring it. I can drill down to the small gazettes and newspapers, radio. It saves you a lot of work. You don't really know who your media outlets are. I can just go into the database of Flash Alert and put in counties or towns, and I can get a full list. I mean, there's a lot in there, and we need to use it. So anything your club wants to promote, really all I ask is give me a description. I can edit it, I can help you with it, but you just got to give me the who, what, where, why, when, give me the facts, and I'll make it look nice, get it out in a news release, and it will be sent electronically to all these media outlets. So Brad's club definitely is smart in that regard. So I urge all of you out there to share this resource. It's free, and it'll get your events promoted. Okay, so, and then just for this slide here, I did some research on Lions Club International website, because there are a lot of tools there. There's a lot of documents and guides and videos. You could get lost in there. However, I think this particular guide, and I think we have the website somewhere, I can send it along to the group after. This particular guide I felt was quite useful. It's tough to read, but the actual PDF has some good steps, and they kind of echo what we're going through: planning, networking, promoting. So I would urge you all to look at these resources online. You probably do, but this is just a reminder to go back in there. They update a lot of things regularly, and I do go in there about monthly to look. Okay, so let's move on to the maybe less fun part of of what fundraising is all about. It's the legally compliant, the legal status, and the transparency of your work. Thank you. So should you 501c3 or should you not? So you're collecting donations from people, whether it's donations for the good work you're doing, the foundation is doing. What should you do? How are you going to be compliant with state and federal laws? So the first thing is looking at your 501c3 or 4 status. So I'm going to start with the 501c3. Now that means the Oregon Lion Sight and Hearing Foundation is 501c3. They are a charitable nonprofit according to the IRS and federal guidelines. So that means we can issue receipts for your donations. So we are tax exempt, we are charitable, and that is why you give to the foundation, so that we can do the good work with sight and hearing programs. Now, you probably are all nodding your heads out there going, wait, I know some Lions clubs that are 501c3. And you're right, some have developed their own foundation arm, so to speak. They have established their own charitable foundation. There are several throughout the state, or more than several. And so those of you that have that, understand this, and if you want to jump in later in the question and answer and share some of your thoughts, I'm always looking for feedback, because I think establishing a 501c3 is challenging. You have to be well organized, and you have to have members that are willing to do all this. So I'm just giving you the caution, and I'm just saying there's other options that you can do fundraising with the foundation and not have to worry about all this legal stuff. So the pros are clearly, you can solicit donations, you can ask for funds, and that they are tax deductible as charitable contribution, and that furthers your mission. So that allows you to hand them that tax receipt. You can do all kinds of things with your 501c3 status. You can apply for grants, as we do. You can ask for corporate sponsorships. You can do events. You could do all kinds of things. Events where you just solicit donations, not goods and services. So those are the pros, is just fundraising in a more direct fashion. The cons are, there's a few, and this is where the organizational piece hits. There's complexities involved. You have to manage your records. You have to manage your donations. You have to recruit, maintain, manage, and train a board of directors. You have to file and be compliant with state and federal reports, and there are several. I listed them there. You have to pay fees. You have to follow all the state and federal rules. You have to make tremendous efforts to get to know funders, apply for grants. If you receive them, you have to be compliant with the reporting requirements. You have to follow the contracts. There's all those kinds of pieces. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying you should think about it, and you could talk to me about it. Some clubs have. So clearly this is a little bit more of an effort. You'll have to decide amongst your clubs. Now, just so you know, the Lions Club International, you might know this, I'm sure you do. It's exempt under the 501c4 of the IRS code, Internal Revenue Code. Social welfare tax exempt organization. So 501c4 is not a charitable organization like the foundation. So that means you can't just say, here's a donation and get that tax receipt. So it's not a charitable organization. That's the main difference between the 501c3 and the 501c4 status. When you establish your Lions Club, you receive automatically your charter from LCI, and it's intrinsically, is that the word, granted a 501c4 tax exempt status under their group exemption number. All of this information is on the LCI website. I could direct you to the legal section, and all the documents you need are there. Sometimes you're going to need the 501c4 if you're going out and recruiting donations in your community. Sometimes they're going to ask you, what's your 501c4 number, or how are you connected? What is your legal status? So it's good to have those documents. So all that being said, once you want to make your decision, you can also choose to simply work with us. You know, I'm biased. I would rather you not establish a 501c3 as a club and have a fundraiser that either solely or partially benefits the foundation. So one of the ways you can do this and kind of gain more resources is, say, and there's lots of examples, a Lions Club decides that it wants to hold a fundraiser like the Oktoberfest and benefit solely the foundation site and hearing programs. You can pick a particular program, or you can just general operations. If you want to do this, that's where, you know, our resources will step in. You can literally share or work with our tax exempt status. So if somebody wants to donate, you're going to be able to say, okay, yes, I have the 501c3 tax ID number. Nicole and Tiffany can get you your tax, and Kareth can get your tax receipt. All those things for collecting donations is what you would benefit from. Now, here's the main difference that, you know, we go over a lot. If you're having an event, and Brad, jump in if you'd like, such as the Oktoberfest, and you're saying, okay, you got to pay $20 to enter and all the food you can eat. That's in exchange for goods and service. That's not a donation. So you're paying for the entry fee, you're paying for the food, you're paying for something, you're getting a good or service. That's not a donation. So that's not going to trigger that tax exemption. But if at your Oktoberfest you decide, or your event, you put a tip jar, or you put a jar, and you have a nice little promo saying donate to the foundation, donate to this cause, and someone drops in a check or drops in $50, that is 100% directly donated to the foundation, and that will allow you to provide that 501c3 status receipt. So you can have a receipt book with you, you can let me know, I'll send out thank you letters, but you're going to have to be tracking those direct donations. You're not going to be giving out donation receipts for somebody that pays $20 for a raffle ticket. So I want to make sure that's clear, that difference between good and service, and I'll let Brad jump in with his experience if he has something to add here.
Yeah, amongst your supplies for your Lions Club, you're always going to have those long rolls of raffle tickets, and you should also have a receipt book, because somebody's going to want to maybe donate to the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation through your Lions Club. Maybe you're smart and you have that already established at we do it at the entry, $12 for dinner, and if you'd like to donate to the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, we'll take that money and we'll issue you a receipt with OLSHF's tax ID number, so it's deductible on your taxes. So those are the tools that you need to have available to you, and understand that those are two separate things. That $12 that they pay for sausage and sauerkraut, they get sausage and sauerkraut. You can't deduct that. That $20 that they put in the jar for Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, 501c3 nonprofit organization, yeah, they can get a receipt for that and hold that for tax purposes. However, let's all remember that the tax code of 2017 came and kicked us squarely. And a lot of people just aren't seeking receipts anymore. They're giving out of the goodness of their hearts. They're making donations because that's where their heart lies, and not asking for receipts. But you'd have to be prepared to issue those receipts. Know our tax ID number. If you tell us that you're going to have a fundraiser directly for seeking direct donations for the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, we'll give you that tax ID number and help you understand how to do that. But if you're selling pancakes, if you're selling sausage, if you're selling raffle tickets, that's a good or a service, and it's not a tax deductible donation.
Okay, great, thanks. And one more point about 501c3, 501c4, they're technically called social welfare tax exempt organizations, so they're not charitable organizations, such as your Lions Club. We now understand, and I repeat this only because I think it's super important. It gives you integrity in your community and with your donors and supporters, that you cannot provide the tax deductible receipt, but you can make folks understand that while they're supporting your fundraisers virtually or in the future in person, that subsidizing the cost of the event is going to help, trigger that donation to their favorite cause, sight, hearing, or there's other causes your clubs are supporting. So the other part of your 501c4 that I think is important to note, and many of you out there are probably aware of this, you still do have reporting requirements. You do have, as Brad said, you have to track everything. You do have to make sure that your treasurer is doing all this. You've got to file that 990. So the version of the 990 you need to file is most likely it's going to be the postcard 990, and that's the lower income that you're bringing in. So it's like an easy postcard form. So every year you're going to have to do that. It's 6 months due after the end of your tax year, if that's fiscal or calendar year. So those are things that I think you should go back to your club and talk about. You should make sure you have all your 501c4 elements figured out, and then that's when you can really have the discussion about, okay, we want to have an event, we want to, pivot to something virtual, we want to benefit the foundation, but how do we do this? How do we ask people for money and donations if we don't have a way to give them that, tax deduction? And you can do that with us. You just have to, solely benefit us or majority benefit us. So in the case of Topgolf, that was an example. There's plenty that Brad shared, but Topgolf is one that was more recent that I worked on with John Drake. And so he was able to get a lot of local sponsors, and he had to, of course, run it through our 501c3 tax number. And I worked with a lot of the sponsors and just gave them their tax receipt. Very easy. He tracked everything. Our accounting team tracked everything, and we were able to, have a successful event. I mean, granted, that was pre-COVID, but this is probably something they can still do in the future, because with Topgolf, I think you can separate 6 feet and probably do it that way. I'm not quite sure if they're open yet. They probably aren't, but if John's out there, I know he's working on this event and having put a little bit of a delay on it. So that takes us through the legal status of collecting your funds. I wanted to leave some time for questions, as did Brad. I think there's one more slide. It might be the Lions International slide. Yeah, or that one, questions. So if you want to call me, that's my direct line, my email. Also, Brenda posted Brad's email. We know that this isn't really like giving you all you need to know, and it's an overview.
This is not exhaustive.
It's certainly not a magic wand of like, hey, this is easy. Please know that we're all kind of struggling with this and learning as we go along. You're going to have some challenging times. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to hear some no's. But at the same time, I have been getting feedback from Lions where they're talking about virtual pancake feeds. They're talking about doing what Brad's doing. You're just going to have to pack up your food, have it all, have gloves, have all the correct stuff you need. And for some of these Lions clubs that have had events for years and years, they already have committed sponsors and donors who are going to write a check anyway. So I think my major takeaway for you, and Brad, I think you'd agree, is it's about your relationships in the community. You've got to get out there. And the way you can do that now is you can send videos. You've got all our videos on our YouTube channel, which Brenda, I will share, or Brenda could share, or we'll figure it out. We'll send it to you. Our YouTube channel has a range of videos from all the programs, LEAP, ROAR, Patient Care, LURK, everything. We're going to have school vision screening. You could simply share those videos and tell people in your community, business sponsors, friends, non-Lions, providers, hearing and vision providers, tell them what we're doing. Tell them what their dollars are going to help with. I think the video is your best friend and your best tool. So we'll get that out to you. And I would just like to thank everyone for calling in and listening and being patient as we learn to fundraise in the new normal. Brad, any questions?
I gotta concur with you, Nick. The videos have been amazing for us. We have a really good guy making very high quality professional videos, and use those. Also, I've got to encourage you to be creative and come up with new ways to fundraise in the new normal. And understand this about those creative new ways: as soon as another Lions Club finds out about it, they're going to steal it. So be ready to share also. We are all in this together. Let's get through this together, and continue. No matter what your Lions Club does to fundraise or do service in their communities, we always do that together, and we have fun and we enjoy one another. So let's continue to do that, but let's do it in a safe fashion. so that we can continue to do it for a long, long, long time. And we're happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Nick, one of the questions we had for you was, how are funders responding to the COVID crisis, and how are they changing their priorities?
Okay, this question might be from John. He had a lot of ideas for me. So that is a complex question, but I'll try to answer it briefly and succinctly, and share that priorities are shifting. Priorities are shifting for COVID response, racial justice. There's all kinds of ways that funders are trying to address the most immediate needs. So for the foundation, it has affected us. And that isn't to say that funders are disappointed or not interested anymore. They're just trying to tackle the frontline healthcare issues first. Some of our funders are saying, hey, you know what, we're going to hold on to your application. We love your program, but we've got to put funding somewhere else, or we want you to resubmit this in a different way. Frankly, there's some delays. On the other side of the coin, we have been able to get some COVID funds from some of our funders who have been keen supporters of us for years, and they reached out to us and said, what do you need? And it doesn't have to be frontline, it just has to be impacted by COVID. So we were able to get some funding for our ROAR program in Sutherland and Roseburg, because COVID is making it, even more challenging for folks to get out and get help. So I guess I would say there's funding attributed for COVID-related response projects, and if the foundation can get some of that, we will, and we have. But we also need to understand that there's other folks in the front line and other organizations that have to get some of this money too. I mean, it's tricky. There's also new funders out there, and there's new ways. There's a collective group of fundraisers, the 99 Girlfriends, and they're a collective group, and they're trying to fundraise in a different way, and they're trying to spread out different streams of support to address different kinds of needs. So not quite an answer, but just to say that it's very much a changing, shifting landscape.
One of the other questions we received is, what if you can't find sponsors? How do you budget for and find the funds for your event?
Well, yeah, that's tough. Like I said, it takes money to make money. And I know that it's difficult to find sponsors. It's difficult to find somebody who will back you for a few $100s for your event. And sometimes you'll have to go into your own Lions Club's funds if you've got that. Otherwise, you're going to have to keep knocking on doors, ringing telephones, sending emails, and see what you can get. It's a difficult landscape for fundraising, no matter what, for Lions Clubs. And so, it just takes more work.
Yeah, maybe the question is, so you can't find them, then maybe you take a step back and talk to your club, meet with your club members, and have more of a brainstorming session. Like, why is it that you can't find it? I understand that we have that too, that issue too. It's almost like backing up and saying, who haven't we talked to in the community? I mean, you don't necessarily want to always pull from your own club account. I mean, you could, or raise the price of your event. But maybe you have to step back, look at your Chamber of Commerce website, look at all the businesses listed there. You've got to probably do a little research and digging as to, like, what are you missing in the community? What corporations are out there? Do a search of, like, the top employers in the region. A lot of Lions have told me to check into timber, in different counties in Central Oregon or the coast. Check out timber companies. I have done a lot of, like, reaching out, cold calling, letter writing to timber companies. They have money to give, and would they sponsor events? We're not always successful, but I think it's things like that. I think it's exploring what professions are out there, what maybe new kinds of businesses, like for Portland, that would be tech-related industries. That's kind of the newer kind of industry here. I think it's stepping back and having to do research. I can't really think of another way to say it other than it's more homework. It's more of a challenge, but then the reward is that much sweeter when you get
that research. You got to find the guys who have the deep pockets. Despite COVID-19, the economy looks pretty decent. Find the guys that are still making the money, and don't make the ask too big. I think that's key. If you need $500 to put your event on, ask for 100. Spread the wealth.
Not another question, but a lot of appreciation for both of you and your willingness to share and work with, partnering with Lions Clubs to help with their fundraising and, you know, answering questions for them. So a lot of compliments for the both of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. I would also add another way you can do your research, and I have sent some of this information out to folks, is, you know, you got to get on the internet, right? And like type in your favorite restaurant, or type in, I mean, some of these are saying, some folks are saying no lately, but you know, there's a lot of places like Burgerville, McMinimans, Steve Mosier, I don't know if he's on the call, but we did a statewide fundraiser with Panda Express. You know, you've got Dutch Brothers does these, you know, those are kind of maybe more of a first step you can take, because these corporations have a certain amount of dollars and they're willing to give like 5 or 10% of their proceeds of a night's retail sales to a charitable foundation, a charitable group. Some businesses do that. There's definitely some here in Portland that give a percentage. I think more and more people are looking at that, especially because of COVID and with racial injustice. You're seeing a lot of organizations donating a percentage of their retail sales. So you might want to look at some of those larger corporate chains. Again, I know some of it is when counties reopen, but definitely that'll give you some confidence. I would suggest the Panda Express and Burgerville and those types of organizations seem to, and they're pretty user friendly. You go on their website, you kind of have to hit corporate giving or charitable causes. You have to do a little sleuthing, but I can always help with things like that. You know, these are things that I do on a regular basis. I'm more than happy to help. I can't make promises that I will be able to get you a certain amount of money, but if you do want to partner with the foundation, we will put our brains together and resources to raise funds for sight and hearing programs.
I got a chat that I want to share because it is so important. New question: do you recommend when making an ask you be very specific about how money will be used, or can you be general? Be specific. I got to tell you, because people find out what we're doing, what we're really doing in the community, the impact that the Lions make in their communities, and they're going to want to support that. So yeah, be specific about what your money's going to. Yeah, we've got 500 kids at this school who need their vision screened, or we've got 10 people who've asked for hearing aids in our community in this last year, and that needs increasing. That's going to get people to respond to you. Great question. Thank you.
Well done.
And thank you both. We've come, I think, to the end of our time. So thank you, Nick. Thank you, Brad. Really great
Right by.
Thank you. Yeah, it does. I'll let you say your goodbyes.
Well, ladies first.
Okay, well, everybody, I want to say good luck. I want to say keep trying every idea you've got. Talk to someone about it. Talk to your club about it. Ask me. Just try. Get out there and try. And you know what? Asking for a donation to your favorite cause at the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, whether you get a yes or no, you're trying, you're doing it. And once you start practicing that, once you start asking for things, it starts to feel really good. It starts to feel really, you know, I build my confidence that way, and I'm happy to walk you through any kind of, you know, speech or talking points, or send you materials, success stories. I guess that's the last point I'll make. Success stories. Have your success stories at the ready. Take the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation annual report. If you don't have the videos handy, or you already sent a video, take our annual report. It's on our website. Send that. That's got visuals, it's got numbers, it's got success stories. You can brag by simply handing out the annual report. So please let me know if you need any copies of that. I can mail them to you. Thank you.
And I want to say thanks for being here with us today. Share this with members of your Lions Club. You can find this on YouTube. You can find it on the Oregon Lions Sight and Hearing website, OLSHF.org. And be creative. Keep working on your fundraising. Lord knows, I know, we all know fundraising was a lot of work before COVID-19. Now we've got to really pivot. We've got to adapt and overcome and keep working hard. You're Lions, that's what you do. And again, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye.